guess what? I got a Discord server.
I'm not
actually
because Margaret mentioned that it's easier for multiple developers to work in one area.
Yeah,
which that's huge. I'm not that familiar with the software, so I don't know what that actually looks like.
so
But also, Nanite seems like it would help artists. As if I understand it right, you don't have to make a low poly versions of, at least not everything. You still have to do it, I think, of like non-static, like anything that's animated.
From what I understand of how the Unreal Engines worked in the past is like in the Unreal Engine 4, you had to work on a project and then send it over to another person, and they can continue working on the project. Whereas in Unreal Engine 5, everyone can work on like the same project at the same time.
I don't know if you guys used GitHub before.
I've used GitHub.
It's kind of the same thing, but like imagine with that, like instead of pushing things through, you don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah,
essentially, and you like they can work whenever.
I guess I'm wondering how, like, I mean, Git has been normal, has been a thing for a while. So if they didn't have Git in Unreal Engine 4, I wonder if it's because the complications are merging. Because it'd be hard to like visualize how to merge assets or whatever you're doing in a scene.
But so like a lot of their custom code stuff, like short term, we might see a little bit of delay and stuff like and some stuff like getting their custom codes and stuff like that transferred. Unreal Engine 5 to Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5 though, they've designed it to be fairly transferable. So this isn't like, oh, we're switching to a completely new engine like other games have had and had like gigantic delays in the past, which was the concern with the switch to Unreal Engine 5. And what Steven says that his task force or whatever has been looking into for like the last couple months.
It makes sense for them to switch now rather than later because they will have more assets to transfer if they do it later. So doing it now is just do it now, finish it, and we'll continue work, and that would be the norm for 3 to 4 years up ahead.
I think everyone kind of likes the decision. I think everyone's in an agreement that everyone likes the decision. The only concerns that like how much is this going to delay? Is this going to delay us by any amount? Is this gonna just delays, like the delays and the direction.
My only concern was the amount of transferability, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
like when Steven said, "Oh, we're able to transfer most of the things easily," I'm like, "Oh, interesting."
What are you gonna say, BCG? What are you gonna say, BCG?
At this point, are people even still worried or like sad or mad if stuff gets delayed?
So.
No, most there are some people. Some people still want to get the game as soon as possible. Like people want to get the game as soon as possible. But everyone wants the game to be good. So like you have to. There's checks and balances there. If the game takes too long, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that topic. Like the longer the game takes, the more money it's gonna take. The more money it's gonna suck from Steven in Intrepid. So there's the monetary concern of how long the game's gonna take. There's the people just want to get their hands on a good MMO. There's the thought process of like when we actually get things, like there's the thought process of like, oh, we don't want this to be another Star Citizen where it takes forever and we never get promises. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And even now, even like after so long and everything that's been said and done from Intrepid, there are still people that still think it, like Ash the Gracious is a scam. So
how can it be a scam at this point?
You'd be surprised when people fucking think that. Some people actually believe that that house that Steven has, he rents that for fucking events, live events.
Live events.
Goddamn.
So just like when he does the when he does the 24-hour live stream and stuff like that, some people believe that that's a fucking rented house, like a B&B that he just rents out.
Do these people also believe that the Earth is flat? Because that one makes sense to me.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, honestly, at this point, if you think the game is a scam, I mean, we had playable versions. We had, we getting monthly progress updates. And if you You know,
new hires constantly.
Yes,
We've seen the new
exactly.
office. Like,
and if you, I mean, way back in the day, you know, when Ashes first started out with, me and a bunch of other people, you know, we looked into, you know, what did Steven do in the past, and you know, how did he get as rich as he is, and I mean, if you think Ashes is a scam, then guess what? If you're following that logic, then every game ever made or will ever be made is an impossible scam.
But yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there are people that like, there's the delayed concern of how long the game's going to take, and for Unreal Engine 5, and that's the big takeaway. That's the big thing. In terms of like how long, I think short term we might see some delays, but long term it should like Unreal Engine 5 should actually possibly speed up the development time of the game.
How-
I mean, it should. I
How
mean,
so?
if they can they can build out the world faster, because they can now multiple people can work on the same area at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
Unreal
That
Engine
speeds
allows
things
people
up.
to work on the same project at the same time.
Oh,
And then Nanite, it's, if I understand it right, Nanite meshes, you don't need to worry about lower detail, making lower detail versions of a mesh. So that could speed up artists, at least when it comes to things like terrain and houses and stuff like that.
all right.
So
Well, that's good to
basically,
know.
some of the things that like really need to happen can be done faster.
I mean, I still say 23, 2024.
I mean, those are safe bets. Like, so the thought process is that the earliest we would possibly get like A2 would be
This year.
late,
End of this year.
mid to late this year, and that's the earliest you're looking at getting A2.
I mean, I think as soon as we see certain types of biomes, like more of the desert biome. I know on the world map Steven shows there were some, you know, stormy mountains. As soon as we see like a more overall view of the world, I think at that point we're getting closer to A2.
There's a lot more, maybe. The world's probably like one of the more easier things to fill out.
Yeah,
in
but
terms of like the map.
Yeah, but that's still, you know, that's still the thing that needs to be finished to get into A2, because A2 won't be on the Alpha 1 island. So I remember.
I don't think anyone wants A2 till we see with the new combat system.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, of course that. But sorry, but I just remember like way back in the day, you know, World of Warcraft beta, they had like fly throughs through like the zones to show off the world, not just like biomes. So as soon as we get that, I think that would be a good bet to when we get into Alpha 2. But from what I can tell, like I said, I just landed back home like 2 days ago, so I'm catching up on stuff. But from what I can tell, I don't see any like real like bad side to changing to Unreal 5, besides maybe a small or to mid-sized delay. But even at that point, I'm not worried.
For the majority part, people have taken it very, very extremely positively, but there are some concerns to go with it.
Besides the delay?
No, just the delaying part.
I mean, if the delay, honestly, if the delay is the only concern for some people, welcome to the show, and remember 2020 is all I'm gonna say.
Before 2020. No one believed before 2020.
Shut up. Everybody believed before 2020. Everybody just up like, oh yeah, I knew.
No one believed before 2020.
So many of us were saying that it couldn't. It just was like too tight of a time frame, and if you had followed other MMOs, you just know that you get into these like periods of like
but
years.
You know what the funny thing is? Because I pointed it out so many times, like in 2018, 2019, and I got so much shit from even like your guild leader and other people that are now saying, "Oh yeah, I always knew." That's the funny part to me. That's the funny part. That's the funny part to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong. There were people who believed it.
Yeah. Did they say anything else?
And honestly, don't blame them. Honestly, because they were just following the hype. Really?
You want to
They were-
believe?
They were following. So the thing of like people knew before 2020 is like if you understand game development time. If you're just if you don't understand game development and you're just listening to what Steven, if you're just a gamer, if you're just a normal person, if you're just a gamer, if you're just
Like I'm one.
listening to what Steven says, then you're believing the before 2020 stuff that he's promising. 3 years of development. He sounded confident in that call. But if you understand, if you've taken a deeper interest into games like game development and stuff like that, or if you followed games for the last 20, 30 years, you probably would know that it takes longer to make these things.
Yeah, pretty much.
When did we start? We started 2016.
I was one of those people until I started researching it very early on, and I was like, this is not going to come out anytime soon. Essentially.
Anyway, 2016.
That's after I backed.
That's what? That's 3.5. 2020. So what are we like 5-6 years in now?
It was well I backed. Yeah.
So, what did everyone think about the showcase video for Unreal 5?
Honestly, I don't know what I was looking at. Just it looked similar to what I seen before, but I'm not that, graphic wise.
Yes,
I don't really never pay attention to stuff.
The lighting and exterior environment has changed dramatically, yet some things just looked the same. When I talk about terrain, for example, like if you look at the rocks, you look at the snow on the ground, it feels like it's Unreal Engine 4 and not Unreal Engine 5.
People weren't impressed with when he was outside. Like I keep hearing that a lot. People weren't impressed when he was on the outside. But when he goes inside, you can see like the light, more of the lighting effects, and you can see the snow like drifting off the corners of the things.
My assumption is that that's what he was talking about, or
yeah, like the terrain he was walking on wasn't that impressive and kind of looked weird with how the snow was put on the texture. I assume that wasn't as a temporary thing, but
I assume it. By the way, I'm not talking extremely off. I'm talking about this doesn't fit,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, like graphic wise, I never really paid attention to anything because I'm not somebody that needs high-end graphics. I started to read up like what Unreal Engine 5 can do in sense of, like the game development and all that stuff, and the stuff Staggerson was talking about earlier. That's like the stuff that I read up on. So, like for me, it just looked like another Ashes Biome video. I know that might sound like ignorant, but like I said, graphics-wise, I never pay really attention. Like I'm okay with.
I don't think you're the only one I don't think you're the one that's alone in that. I talking to a bunch of people. A lot of people kind of thought that way too. Like it looks pretty, but like they don't see a whole lot of difference in terms of like things different from Unreal Engine 4. They did feel like they was just showing off like a snow biome kind of stuff.
I would have been impressed if it would have been underwater stuff.
You kind of have to dig into Nanite to understand, like how
I mean,
crazy it is, because it seems like, at least from what I've watched and what I've seen people do, that it is actually like it is a huge.
To be fair,
it's very strong tech.
Switched over. To be fair,
and I don't think all their stuff was nanite, because that's something I believe they have to do is they need to make all their meshes nanite meshes, or as many meshes as possible nanite. You can only do static mesh.
Yeah.
But because nanite also works with Lumen, and I hear that if Lumen is interacting with meshes that are not nanite, it is not as optimal.
Yeah.
Oh really?
What is it?
Really?
But part of that might have been like how fast this was put together. Like if part of the delay was this was why the stream was delayed. Like we don't know how long this area was. This has been an area they worked on. Like how much of this was thrown together in Unreal Engine 5 versus like if the area was like made in Unreal Engine 4. How many of the messages have been transferred? How much of the messages have been transferred over and actually worked on it inside Nanite and Lumen?
And yeah, that's understandable. I think the focus, because it's hard to show that. The big thing, you just notice it if you put in a lot of. What I've seen is people put in like a whole bunch of meshes into a scene and it's lagging like to hell, and then they change over to Nanite and it's like smooth. And then they keep on duplicating the meshes over and over and over again, and it stays smooth.
Yeah, like
so it's hard to demo that in just like a biome video like they showed. And I think they kind of focused on the effects because there's some really cool effects there. And then they're also showing off the parkour as part of that, I think.
So do you guys think? Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think the change to Unreal 5 will delay the game, or will the development go faster? And if you do think it will be late or go faster, how much faster or delayed do you think the time frame will be?
I think we've already talked about this. Like,
yeah, but
my opinion.
If you think Yoni, let me ask you, if you think Yoni, what do you think, Yoni?
I think that a short time you will see a delay. They're gonna have to transfer over all their custom stuff.
Yeah, but
like
how much time frame?
Long term, it's gonna be speed up the development process. Actually, short term, we're probably, I don't know. I'm still hoping to see A2 by the end of the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had to cut it back to 2021 at some point. In terms of like speeding up the overall game, hard to say because I don't it's also hard to say where we are really because we're not seeing, because like we still haven't seen combat, any of the combat changes. We still like all we've been getting in the last couple of months since A1 is just like 3D renders of the mounts, which is completely understandable and stuff like that. But like it's really hard to grasp where we actually are. And because there's no roadmap or anything,
right.
You can't say an actual date on when this shit is.
What about you, Stackerson?
I mean, I don't actually work with the technology, so I can't tell. But from what I've read, it sounds like, yeah, what Yoni said. Short-term delay, but long-term should be an advantage. And going forward, it's going to be even further advantage post-launch.
How about you, Faisal?
I think, I don't think it's gonna be a huge of a delay because they've already created these assets in Unreal Engine 4. Moving into Unreal Engine 5 isn't going to be as hard because they're not creating ideas; they're just moving stuff.
The assets 100 like Unreal Engine 4 and 5. 5 is designed to like be completely transferable with a bunch of the assets from that you developed in 4. The thing is, a lot of their back-end code is custom code that they made for, and that's the stuff that's going to be more difficult to transfer.
100%.
My understanding is, I don't know how they built their buildings, but with Nanite works better if you break your meshes up into smaller meshes. So like, for example, buildings, you want to break the walls into separate meshes. So if they had merged that all together, the meshes together before importing into Unreal, they might want to go back and separate those out, which might be more time. But long term, that will be like a performance gain.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Guess all we can do is wait and see, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean,
we were already playing the waiting game on a bunch of stuff anyway. All this is like you're questioning if this is like right now. All this does is bring up the question: are we waiting more than we would have been before, or if this doesn't affect anything at all? If people want us, like, if we have to delay things or like things other shit happens, people are gonna blame the switch over to Unreal Engine 5. It's an easy thing to blame. But
also like,
really, go ahead.
I mean, it's also one of those things where like it's completely justified if it causes a delay because this is updated software and you don't want to be like working on an old engine. Like it's better for the game if you're working on a more supported foundation.
The switch of Unreal Engine 5, like they're not going to think of switching to another engine, like maybe like
that would take
10 years.
That would take years of development for to switch over a completely new engine.
And Unreal Engine 5 hasn't been completed yet. It's still in beta?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, it's like this pre-production state, which it sounds like they're already working with the Unreal Engine devs. So that's another plus, is if they're able to help them develop it, and then they're also able to fix any issues that Intrepid's having on their end.
Like any issue Ashes is going to face, they're going to go for the Unreal Engine team, and that Unreal Engine team might even build the engine around Ashes, if that makes sense. Like it's going to get influenced, not built completely.
They've gone to like the Epic game show, and like from what I understand, they've always been getting help from Epic and like support from Epic. So this isn't like even if that's the case, that's not something new. I do think that Epic is has good intentions in trying to put Ashes forward as, hey, this is a big MMO that you should be paying attention to, that's being developed in our engine.
I mean, you mean like Epic making Ashes like its, flagship for promoting Unreal 5?
Not flagship, but definitely a face forward.
Exactly, especially if Ashes succeeds, that's going to be a plus for it.
Yeah,
I mean,
if it's going to highlight it as one of the games that uses Unreal Engine 5 and it's good at.
I mean, a lot of people said building an MMORPG in Unreal Engine 4 is a bad idea. So that would be maybe a good way to,
Yeah, and it sounds like Nanite is definitely up to the task. Other aspects of the engine, I don't know how much they'll help.
Yeah, I have to complete. I think we can come back to the topic in a couple of weeks when I read up on everything, and ask some people a little bit more about it.
When we see more about more from it, I think is a good time to. We could talk about it more later, but I think when we see more from it, that's a really good time to talk about it. Is there any other takeaways from the live stream or the video people want to bring up?
Parkour.